All right, I see that the clock is telling us that it's 12:30 and time to call to order the oldest Lions Club in the world. You know, one of the real joys of being president this year is to say just that sentence, the oldest Lions Club in the world. So thank you all for joining us today. I'm Rudy Munguia. And we are ready to proceed. And I believe, Mark, are you our host today?
Yes, I am. Whoops. Let me get my, hang on a
second. Would you, when you have a moment, can you remind us about our procedures, please?
Sure. The very simple procedures is that when if you're not speaking, please mute yourselves, because a lot of times there's background and other things going on. But other than that, just enjoy our time here.
All right, thank you. Okay, well, we're going to proceed, and I will be leading the pledge today. So as you're able, if you would stand, and Mark, if you would put the words up on the screen.
I can do that in just a moment. There we go.
Okay, the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, pledge to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Well, again, welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining our weekly meeting of our Lions Club. And we are going to see if we have guests today. And Mark or Leonor, if you will help see if anybody's raising their hand.
We have Kit Thompson, and I see Susie as well. I'm not sure whose guests they are. Kit, could you maybe introduce yourself?
I'm Kit Thompson. Sid Popinski and Chuck Mandelbaum invite us to participate in these meetings from time to time, and we find them very informative. Susie Gallagher is my wife, and I'll let her speak for herself.
As usual. Okay. And I want to say we are going to help work at the Lions Camp cleanup in Kerrville. So we'll be seeing y'all there too. Bye.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining our meeting. It's, you're always welcome. And I want to say a shout out to Sid. I see Sid's on the screen. Sid, thank you for inviting these two fine folks to our meeting, as well as to our work day coming up on April 10th.
Well, we're going to have a good time. And thanks to Ann Ward. I don't know where she is right now. She gave us the hotel, and we are staying at YO Ranch Hilton in Kerrville.
Yes, yeah. Y'all staying at the best one. So yeah, that's good. Anyway, do we have it? Welcome to our guest. Anyone else? We'll introduce our speaker momentarily, but anyone else, please? Okay.
Not that I see, Rudy.
Okay, thank you. I think we're ready to move on with our agenda then. And I have several announcements. So here we go. Let me begin by saying that next week we will have our board of directors meeting after the regular meeting. So that'll be on next Thursday, March the 18th, our board of directors meeting. The winter storm caused a few lots of difficulties, but concerning our schedule, our Lions Club schedule, it caused a couple of activities to get changed around. And let me tell you what those are. Our Meals on Wheels was scheduled for tomorrow. I'm sorry, for the 18th and 19th, excuse me. And then that, you know, everything got slowed down and put on hold. So our new date for Meals on Wheels is Friday, March the 26th. So March 26th, it was one of the activities that got changed to March 26th. The other one is that we were scheduled to have an appreciation lunch for the teachers at the Gus Garcia Young Men's Leadership Academy. And their school unfortunately suffered some damage, and repairs are still going on. So that activity, that appreciation lunch, is being scheduled for Friday, March the 26th. So what it all boils down to is that we have two activities on that Friday, March the 26th. I think it's going to work out because the Meals on Wheels is from 8:30 to 11:30 or thereabouts. And then the Young Men's Leadership Academy Appreciation Lunch begins at 11:30. So two activities, but I think we're going to be okay with that. Let me move on to the next announcement, and that is the Board of Directors had their meeting at the last meeting, and here are some of the results and approvals from what was discussed. The board approved funding of the teacher lunches, and one of them is the one I just discussed. But we, as you know, our Lions Club supports 6 AISD schools, and yearly we give an amount of $500 for their educational programs to each of these 6 schools. This year, we are adding an appreciation lunch to each of the 6 schools to say thank you for the dedication and work of the teachers and staff at each of these 6 schools. So the board gave approval for funding for these lunches. Another item that was approved was to have a full-page ad in the Lions Club State Convention that is going to be taking place in May. This year, it moves from location to location from year to year, and this year it will be in Waco. So, and that's coming up in May. Their program usually is highlights or provides for different clubs around the state to announce their part in the Lions Club. And so our Lions Club, the Austin Founder Lions Club, is taking out a full-page ad, as we have in the past, so that we can have our name there with the other Lions Clubs. Okay, and then this final part, action that the Board of Directors took, our LCI convention, the national convention, is coming up in June, and our club is allowed 4 delegates, and the board named those 4 delegates that to be voting members at the convention. And this is going to be a virtual convention, but the 4 delegates are Leonor, our secretary, Ann Ward, immediate past president, J.P. Kirksey, past president and past governor, and myself. So Leonor, Ann, J.P., and myself will be the 4 delegates. And the board also named as an alternate John Niefler. So that is action from the board. concerning the items I have mentioned. The nominating committee that Ann Ward is chairing this time to nominate candidates for next year's officers. That recommendation from the nominating committee will be made next Thursday. So that is Ann is working with the committee and bringing that to a list that can be presented next Thursday, and that will be Ann will be taking care of that. And then the last announcement I have is the work day that we started mentioning just a moment ago, the work day at the Texas Lions Camp. That is a Saturday on April the 10th. The Texas Lions Camp, some of you will know this, but the Texas Lions Camp provides a summer experience for youth ages, I'm thinking from about 6 to 16, and that have some disability, and the youth attend the camp for a 1-week period of time beginning in June. So there's the first week of June, the second, and so on, all the way through August. And some weeks are designated for special disabilities, but to prepare for the youth to be there, there are work days designated, which is what we're getting ready to do in April, on April the 10th, to go Lions from all over the state to go as a club and help prepare the camp for that summer event. So on the chat, I have put my email address. Some of you may already have it, but on the chat, I just put my email address. And for if you're interested in attending a 1 day, it's about from 7:30 in the morning on Saturday, April the 10th, till about 3 o'clock or thereabouts, as it has been in the past. We're looking for between 15 and 20 Lions to help us in this way. So if you and Sid, I believe, and others that she has invited already have their name down on that. So if you're interested, please use my email address that's on the chat or notify us in some way that you're interested. So, okay.
I'm interested.
So that is our announcements. I'm sorry it was kind of a long list today, but we're ready to move on. And birthdays, we have one birthday to celebrate on March the 15th. March the 15th, we're celebrating Jonathan Ratcliffe's birthday. So happy birthday to Jonathan, and may you enjoy many, many more. Okay. And so we have moved through the agenda, and we are at the point where we are ready to have our program and our speaker. So to introduce our speaker, I'm going to ask our secretary, Leonor, if you will please do the honors.
Sure. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Sometimes my microphone does funny things, and we've reached the point of no return is what I had in mind when you said we've reached the point. Hi, everybody. My name is Leonor, and I have the pleasure of introducing to you today Samuel Gozo. He goes by Sam. You can see him here on the screen. Sam is a life coach, which happened because he was a personal trainer before, and he saw a lack there with his clients. I won't say much more about him because I'm sure he's going to tell us a bit about his story in his presentation. So I don't want to take away from that. I just want to say, would you help me welcome Sam, and thank you, Sam, for being here today and talking to us. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
How's it going, everybody? Hope everyone's doing
Hi.
well. First of all, we're gonna go ahead and play around with sound here. Can you guys hear me if I'm back here? Awesome. How about over here? All right, awesome. So now that I know that moving back and forth is not gonna detract from the sound, I can go ahead and actually share my screen, because I saw last week that there was a presentation. I'm like, what a great idea. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's see how good I am with technology. All right, I found the share button. It looks like we are good to go. So is everyone able to see the screen okay? Excellent. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start this from the beginning. As introduced, my name is Samuel Gozo. I am a master certified life coach, and I own a coaching brand known as Integrative Clarity Coaching. I've been a life coach for about 4.5 years, over 4.5 years actually. And it's been under 2 different aliases before, actually 3 different aliases, before it finally started to click as far as what I wanted to do and how I wanted to serve my clients. So I'll go into exactly what life coaching is, as well as what integrative clarity coaching does. But first, I'll start off by telling you guys a little bit about me. If you couldn't tell by the picture, I am not a fan of cold weather. That snowpocalypse that happened a couple of weeks back, yeah, wasn't liking that. But that's not the most important part. I just thought I'd like to make y'all laugh a little bit. So I've had a combined 10 years of experience working with people in mind and body. As Leonore pointed out, I was a personal trainer back in 2014, and I did see a lack with that. It was great showing people how to get to their fitness goals and such, but I've always wanted to help people build more than just their biceps and their butts. It's more of a body, mind, and soul type of piece. I hope everyone is seeing that with me, because listen, bodies are great. Looking at people for amazing physiques, fantastic. But if that mind, if that heart is not doing well, then even the most aesthetically attractive person on the outside has some ugliness that they need to address. So I went into the industry with that focus in mind. So I'm the holder of over 10 different certifications, both major league and minor league in the life coaching industry. And 4 of them are accredited by the International Coach Federation. And that is the leading body for training and certifying life coaches that we have today. I'm also a former drill instructor for the South Sudanese Drill Corps, as you can see by that really smiley picture in the bottom right corner. And I'm also a 2-time world champion in military exhibition drill. Now, I'm pointing those out for a reason, just to go ahead and go over a little bit of my background here. I did not serve in the military. In 2014, the Marine Corps decided that I was not competitive enough on paper to serve as a 2nd Lieutenant of Marines. That would turn out to be a beautiful redirection to South Sudan so I can work with their military. But how I got into military drill was through the junior ROTC program that I was a part of in 2005. So I was there from 2005 to 2009, and I competed alongside my other cadets. And then after graduating from high school, I went to the Senior Military College of Vermont, known as Norwich University, and competed in a sector known as the World Drill Championships. That was sanctioned by Sports Network International. I competed from 2010 to 2020, and I've had the privilege of winning it in 2014 and 2020 before finally deciding to say, I'm not spinning a rifle anymore. Like, I don't want to lose feeling in my joints by the time I'm 35. So with that, I bring all of this to let you know that I'm not coming as someone who just read something out of a book and said, hey, I'm a life coach now. These are things that I have lived, things that I've experienced, things that I've learned, experienced, learned again, especially in the 3-month stint that I had to live out of my car and really had to grind and hustle in a way that truly made sense. So my mission with integrative clarity coaching, both short and long term, is to help people define their true selves, their true strengths, and their true purpose. That way they can work as their best self in all places. So if we're all with me, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, those of you guys I can see. Awesome. All right. So if you want to look up what World Drill Championships is, all you have to do is type in World Drill Championships Samuel Gozo on YouTube, and you'll be able to look at that. That's just for fun. All right. So life coaching, that is a very niche activity and a very niche profession. Half of the people I've spoken to have heard of it and half of the people have not. So I decided I'm just going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about what it is. It's described in different ways, including a synergistic professional partnership in achieving goals, meaning it's not just your ideas, it's not just my ideas. No matter how much expertise we bring to the table, two minds come together and form one plan of action that one couldn't do themselves. Motivational, present focus, and action-oriented mentorship. And this is very important because one of the questions I get is life coaching like therapy? Yes, in the sense that there's a professional and client relationship, and no, in the sense that therapy focuses from getting someone from a -1 to a 0, if you're going by numbers, and life coaching goes from getting from a 0 to a 1. So past to present versus present to future. While some clients may allude to the past in order to help me understand their present, I, as a coach, do not excavate into the past. So that is very important because I could be held liable for that, and I ain't doing that. And the unearthing of ideas and navigation through limiting beliefs and internal enemies of success. So if you want to bring this down into layman's terms, you can also say that I am a motivational interrogator. Or because the thing with that is I ask a lot of questions as a life coach. And it dawned on me one day, I'm literally getting paid to ask questions. Leading to an hour of insatiable curiosity, because again, I ask questions, the who, the what, the where, the when, and it's not just for kicks and giggles, but it's because I really want to know why they have their goals, what led them to say, this is what needs to change. And the reason we have so much calamity, which we will get into in a little bit, is because we're not asking enough questions. A lot of times we're taking on programming, we're taking on ideas without really asking ourselves if this is something that truly is relevant to us here today. So we're also pushers of people to succeed without the megaphone. I don't need a megaphone. I was a former drill instructor, so I'm loud enough by myself. So once again, I don't need to yell at you and say, stop being mediocre. But I can show you why you're not as mediocre as some people might have you think that you are. So I promise you, this is going to be the last death by PowerPoint kind of thing that I have here. And I'm just going to go ahead and just breeze through these a little bit. The engines I use for my coaching practice are cognitive behavioral and rational emotive behavioral coaching. And the layman's terms for this gigantic block of text that you are looking at right now is that both of them interchangeably work with the idea that bad beliefs and bad ideas create bad performance. Rational emotive behavioral coaching is a little bit deeper because it goes into the root of the emotion as well. A lot of people like to say, ignore your emotions, have strong emotions, have no emotions. Yeah, good luck with that one if you have no emotions. This is going to be a very weird thing called life if you don't have those. But my job is to help you understand those, help you understand your ideas. That way you stop living your life on autopilot and living off of a default mechanism of what success, love, happiness, the works, a good job is, and make it make sense for you. Are y'all following me so far? Are y'all with me? Outstanding. So I don't have to read this gigantic block of text. It's great. So I was talking to Leonora about what it was I wanted to share with you today, and I wanted to share emotional intelligence because I firmly believe that if we had a stronger grasp on this concept, we'd see a lot less craziness, not to mention in 2020 that we've seen today. And the simple term for emotional awareness is the capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions, starting with us, and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. So that means if we understand ourselves, we understand our emotions for both our good and our bad, then we can have better and deeper relationships with not just the people that we love, but the people that we work with as well. A lot of times as I observe different people in different occupations, manager to employee relationships, employees to, well, manager to general manager to chairman, I've seen a lot of the issues don't necessarily stem on performance, but not really knowing themselves from an emotional standpoint and therefore projecting weird ideas onto people. So I want to go ahead and go over emotional intelligence today. And one of the reasons why emotional intelligence is so hard is because in one way, shape, or form, we are so committed to being the smartest people in the room. If you want to be emotionally intelligent, we have to start straying away from the idea of being the smartest person in the room and instead work to be the dumbest person in the room. Now, hopefully people recognize who these fine, upstanding gentlemen are. Now, when I say be the dumbest person in the room, I don't necessarily mean be a dunce or be a complete idiot. I mean, be the smartest dumb person in the room. Be smart in the sense where you understand yourself and you know yourself, but dumb enough to ask questions so that way you gain intelligence. There's a saying, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but I'm going to go ahead and give you the general idea of this saying, that if you ask questions, you're dumb for a moment. And if you ask no questions, you're dumb for life. Now, when I say dumb, that doesn't mean necessarily intellectually dumb. Like, you'll always know what you retained in school. You'll know about your job. But when we talk about interacting with people, talking to people, you are dumb to their level of their view of life, and they're dumb to your level of life. So you have to be willing to put your expertise to the side and be dumb for but a moment so you can ask the right questions so you can be smart about them. Are y'all hearing me so far? Awesome. This is something that I am passionate about sharing, not just with my clients, but everyone else that I possibly can share this with. So in this presentation, I'm going to show you some practical ways in which you can improve emotional intelligence right here, right now. The very first thing you can do is practice the pause. So I paused for about 15 seconds. Give me a hand raise if you felt that mildly uncomfortable. See, we have subconsciously created a culture where anything that's a pause or a silence is automatically dubbed as bad. And in 2020, in the age of Zoom, you'll think, oh no, did the video freeze? Did we lose connection? What's going on? Instead, pausing is taken out from its just regular thing, which is pausing. And it's like, oh my goodness, this is bad. What's going on? I can't hear anything. I can't see anything. What's happening? What happened with some of us in this room, not all of us, I'm not going to speak for everyone, is that our amygdala just turned on our flight or fight response, as in, there's something wrong going on. We need to investigate this. So just bringing awareness to that with clients has been a game changer, because now they're just like, oh, if pausing, something that I've dubbed as bad all my life, is not always bad, what else am I not questioning here? Does that make sense? So practicing the pause is extremely important, because when we hear things, especially things that we're not necessarily okay with, our flight or fight response goes off, and our deep-rooted emotional triggers and wounds start to get abrased, to the point where when we're responding to something, we're not necessarily responding to the person, but we are responding to what we are feeling on the inside. This is a very real thing, and this is why when you are done responding in such a way, you think to yourself, what the heck was I thinking? Why did I say that? Or at the very least, I could have handled that a little bit better. Are y'all following me so far? So this is a call to question, pause and question, leading me to my second point, knowing yourself first. I've been trying to find pictures to make this as entertaining as possible, and this was one of the best pictures I can find as far as knowing yourself. When I say know yourself, I don't just mean your external features. Don't just know your face. Don't just know how your hair looks. Don't just know that you might look better in glasses than out of glasses. Understand your emotions. Understand what your triggers are. Understand your intention for engaging people in conversations, because a lot of people go into conversations with no agenda, or the subconscious agenda of, I'm going to win this argument. Who's ever been there? Let's go. Raise your hand. I've been there. I'll put both my hands up for that one. All right. If I could raise my foot and you could see it, I do that too. But understanding who you are from a deep intrinsic standpoint, not just the things that you like or don't like, are going to allow you to work with those areas in yourself. That way, if something does get triggered, it's not an automatic, you got a problem with me, son? You don't want to do that, right? So taking the time to know yourself before you engage in any conversation is very, very important to emotional intelligence. Going back to what I said, it's all about managing and understanding your emotions and doing so without judgment. This is extremely important because you might find some things about yourself that you're not necessarily happy with. That's okay. We will find those until the day the good Lord calls us all home. But it's not about liking and loving everything that you discover about yourself. It's being aware of it and working with it and working with yourself, your whole self, from a place of love as opposed to parts of yourself from a place of spite. Y'all follow me on this so far? Awesome. So if you couldn't tell already, I love participation. So that's why I ask these questions. And speaking of questions, asking questions. Now, raise your hand if you were on social media in the second half of 2020 and saw a lot of people break it down in the comments with what was right and what was wrong. Like you saw a lot of internet arguments. I saw them. If you didn't see them, consider yourself blessed, because some of the things that you saw, some of the things that we see on social media it's a ridiculous slugfest. Now, asking questions, paraphrasing questions, not necessarily leading questions so you hear the things that you want to hear, but paraphrasing, like I'll go ahead and give a very monotonous example right now. I like oranges, okay? A leading question, or a question that would be a little bit more incendiary and fitting for what we saw in the second half of 2020, would be something like, so what you're saying is you hate mangoes. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I like oranges. So paraphrasing questions, discovery questions, tell me more about that. What about those oranges what is it about those oranges that you like? Opening things from a more opening paradigm as opposed to, oh, he didn't mention mangoes, kiwis, apples, he must hate all of them. Ask these questions to gain curiosity, not to find a way to get supremacy up on somebody. Once again, going to that same piece of, you ask a question once, you're dumb for a moment. You don't ask a question, you're dumb for life. And I'll even go as far as to say that if you ask questions in the form of an attack, more times than not, then you're just going to be miserable, because that's going to be the kind of person that finds an argument in literally everything. That's not what we want to do. It doesn't breed emotional intelligence, but really coming into someone's world from a place of curiosity. That is what's going to stem more intelligence, and that's what's going to breed rapport for both you and someone, especially people that you might not see eye to eye with when it comes to polarizing things such as religion, politics, the workforce itself. Now, just hearing politics, some people are just like, ooh, can't really see eye to eye with a conservative if I'm a liberal, or a liberal if I'm a conservative. And you know what? That's 100% okay. No one's saying that you have to agree 100% with them, but approaching things from a genuinely curious standpoint, as opposed to, I gotta one up them, I gotta get it right. That's what's going to create emotional intelligence for you and open the door for emotional intelligence for other people. On that subject, and this is actually going to be the last picture slide that I give to you, is to avoid filtering. Now, we have a tendency when we are going into conversations to filter out certain things, filter out certain words. That way we get to hear the things that we want to hear, or get people to say the things that we want them to say. That way we can quickly put them into the schema of friend or foe, smart person or idiot, lover or hater. I could go on and on forever and ever. But when you avoid the filter, you can start taking things for what they are at face value. Now, you have to be careful with this, because when you commit to letting go of the filter, now you're opening yourself up for hearing things that you might not want to hear. But that's okay, because at the very beginning, you listen to what I said about pausing and knowing yourself. So you'll be able to handle that really well, right? Right? Okay. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and we'll go forward on that one. But if you do hear something that you don't want to hear, what you got to do is stop. Literally stop. Now, you're probably looking at this right now and saying, you spelled stop wrong. Incorrect. It's an acronym. So yes, you must literally stop. And I'll end this by giving you guys a little acronym for navigating pieces that might set off a trigger. And this is called STOP. It stands literally for stop in the S. T, take a deep breath. And I'm actually going to take someone through a little bit of an exercise with that. O is observe, P is pause, and P is practice. Perspective, excuse me. I almost said pause again. The first P is perspective, and the last P is practice. Sorry, guys. I'm thinking too much of that pause button that was in the last slide. So what I want to do is I want to do a little bit of a practical exercise. I would like one person to unmute themselves and volunteer themselves for a mission that might be dangerous. No, I'm just kidding. But would anybody like to go through a quick little exercise here? I'm going to show you something really fascinating about your brain.
You have Roberto.
All right, Roberto, hold on. I can't see.
Roberto Martinez.
Okay, I got to go through. Roberto, how's it going?
Okay, since I'm
Awesome.
the oldest, that's why I volunteer.
Awesome.
Maybe not the oldest. I'm one of the oldest.
No problem. No
So,
problem.
I'm 82 years old, so you need to teach me something.
Hey, what I love about this is we'll all learn from each other. So all I want you to do is just go ahead and close your eyes. All right. Now take a deep breath in, as deep as you possibly can. Now naturally release your breath and relax every muscle from the top of your head to the top of your shoulders. Take another deep breath in, nice and slow, nice and deep. Now relax every muscle from the top of your shoulders to the top of your waist, nice and easy. As you release your breaths, don't force them out, but instead just let them find their natural flow and natural release. Do that a couple more times until you relax every muscle from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Nice and easy. Deep breaths. And as you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and explain to everyone else what is going on right now. Right now, as you are consciously listening to what it is that I'm saying, your brain is operating under what is called a beta brainwave. And this is the brainwave that is associated with concentration and being on alert. Now, in stressful situations, the brainwaves, the hertzes that your brain operates under on a daily basis. Roberto, how do you feel so far?
I'm beginning to relax, but I'm trying to also listen to you, which.
Gotcha. Well, the reason why you're feeling so relaxed going into that is your brain has gone from beta to alpha. And the alpha brainwave is associated with relaxation and contentment. So if you're ever in a situation where you feel like you're under stress, you can take that and just do that for about 15 seconds, and your brain waves, the hertz that your brain operates under, will literally begin to slow down. Now, if you do that for too long, you will fall asleep. So you don't want to fall asleep here. And that's when you drop into gamma, you drop to theta, and then you drop into delta. You don't want to do that. So you can open your eyes and you can bring yourself right back to me. You feel a little bit more relaxed?
Yes, yes.
Awesome. The S in stop is so important because as you stop and you do the T, take a deep breath, you can literally change the hertzes and the frequencies in your brain to go from I'm going on the attack, I'm panicked, to I'm going to bring myself to a place where I'm relaxed, I'm content, I'm grounded, and I can respond to what is said to me versus react to what I'm feeling. Is what I'm saying making sense, everybody? Awesome. So let's stop and take a deep breath. That is where you can start slowing your own brain waves down, get yourself relaxed, and get yourself in a place where you're not flying off the handle. Something that I practice consistently, because even as a life coach, some things I don't always like hearing. I'm just being honest here. The observe, the O is super important. Going back to what I said in the very beginning of observing what it is that you're feeling. Don't just observe the emotions, but observe where in your body you're feeling them as well. This is super awesome. This is a little thing that you can keep in your pocket, because when you observe your emotions and you observe where they're feeling, then even as the emotion is starting to rise up, you start feeling the reactions in your body. For example, me, whenever I'm stressed, I can feel super glue start to form underneath my tongue and the roof of my tongue, and I'm just stuck there. Like my tongue is literally stuck to the roof of my mouth, and I'm just like, oh, feeling stressed. I can let my face go off. By doing that, you can start sending receptors into your brain to change your state right there and then. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just tell you guys right now, I'm not really much into meditation. I'm not much into the spiritual side that life coaching sometimes bring, but I am very much into observing your emotions and observing your body's changes as a result of emotions. So if you do nothing else this week, I want you to observe emotions from not just a mental standpoint, but where you're feeling them. Do you feel, when you feel fear, do you feel it in your stomach? Do you feel it in your head? Do you feel it in your heart? Do your fingers start to tingle? When you're feeling angry, do your eyes start to burn? Do your ears start to ring? As you do that, you start putting a name and an association to the emotions, and you start coming with a system for dealing with them. Roof to the tongue, tip of my tongue, tongue to the roof of my mouth. See, can't even talk about that. Oh, stressed. Let the tongue hang. Less stressed. Feeling tense in my shoulders, angry. Relax shoulders, a little bit less angry. Now I can breathe deeper. Now I can relax. Perspective on the first P. This is tying into what I said as far as looking at things from another point of view. The pause that was once very uncomfortable for some people, now you can look at things from more of a three-dimensional standpoint. I could tell you, oh no. Oh, I found it, sweet. So I can tell you that this is a circle if I look at it from a face standpoint, but obviously this is more of a spherical thing, not just a circular thing. Be willing to look at perspectives from more than just one face, from one side. Look at things from as many of them as possible. Really understand it, not just for what your immediate sight allows you to see, but for what you can consciously take yourself out of and look at from another angle. So look at different perspectives, because sometimes perspectives are the difference between flying off the handle and saying, oh, I understand. I may not necessarily agree, but I get it. I get why you might think that way. And then the final P is practice. Now, if this is something that you haven't done before, if this is something you haven't thought about before, you're probably not going to get it right the first time or the second time. You might think stop, and then you're going to think, go, I got to engage this person. I got to get them. And then you're like, oh, maybe I should have stopped. Then you're going to stop. You'll do better there. You'll take a deep breath. Nope, still mad. And then you're going to go on the attack, right? I've done that before. Fun fact, one time I took a nap. I thought I heard another sound there. All right, we'll keep going. One time when I was much younger and a lot less emotionally intelligent, I heard something an ex said, took a nap. I was still mad, and I still blew up on her. And I regret that to this day, because intellectually I knew better, but hey, my little 23-year-old mush for brains type of thinking, where I looked at things as my way and only my way, didn't allow me to see things from her perspective, and I subsequently blasted her via text message. Yeah, again, shame. But the more you practice it, the more you practice stopping, taking a deep breath, observing your feelings without judgment, and putting things into different perspective, the better you're going to get at it. The more deeply you're going to build relationships with yourselves and those around you, both professionally and personally. And the more emotional intelligence you'll have for yourself, and the more you'll be able to share with the world at that point.
Can I add
So, come again?
Can I add something to that? Where I have trouble is on my neck, tightening my back of my neck.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you mentioned the shoulders. So that was good, realizing that was happening to me when I'm in stress or something. I had to relax that neck. That was being very helpful.
Awesome. Awesome. So what I want to do, since I'm not going to be the kind of person that is like, hey, now give me your money. I'm not that kind of person. I wouldn't do that. And Leonor said I couldn't do that anyway. But what I do want to do is I want to give you guys a little gift as a thank you for sitting through this and entertaining me on this Lions Club meeting. This little ebook that I created a little while ago is called Coach Yourself. And this is full of practical steps that include the things I talked about in this last presentation and much more. Because I understand that as a life coach, not everyone's going to need a life coach. But if what I gave to you guys is something that you find value in, then I'd like to just go ahead and give this to you as a thank you. And so I know that it's people that came into this meeting. What you have to do is either in the subject line of the email or in the body, you got to put stop, drop, and get the book. So you can send an email directly to me, admin@samuelgozo.com, and put stop, drop, and get the book somewhere, and I will happily send this over to you guys as a thank you. Oh, did anybody need to keep the admin up, the email up? Are we good? I can always put it in the chat. So thank you guys.
Well, thank you very much, Sam. Yeah, it gives us a lot to think about. And can we open it up to questions? Are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Again, if you have a question for Sam, raise your hand and we'll go from there.
Roberto, go ahead. And then Ann Rogers after Roberto.
Can you tell me the difference between a teacher and a coach?
A teacher and a coach. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that.
Let me finish my question.
Sorry.
As generally used in the culture today, and how has it changed over the ages and cultures?
Very good question. Okay, so as far as that last half of the question, I'll be honest, I can't answer you on that one. The difference between a teacher and a coach, at least from the ICF standpoint of a coach is not someone who necessarily tells people what to do if you go by ICF standards, but we ask questions, we lead in and show people that they have the answers to those questions themselves. Usually when you ask enough who, what, where, when, why questions, you find that people have always had the answer in them, and it's always underneath a lot of bad programming. From an education standpoint, I'm going to go ahead and guess that a teacher, you're probably talking about an academic teacher, or am I wrong on that one?
Generally, yeah, but the culture usually uses that frame to tell the parents take that frame too.
Okay.
I'm the parent, you're the child.
Mm-hmm. Well, teachers are more from a specialist standpoint. Math teachers, English teachers, language arts. So they have a field of expertise that they're going to teach either a pupil or their pupils or their children in. Whereas with a coach from an ICF standpoint, we are motivational questioners, and some coaches, whether you're going off of ICF standards or not, do have that specialist piece. I have a cognitive behavioral coaching piece, so I can teach matters on cognitive behavioral coaching. I have pieces on intuitive executive coaching, so I can teach on that. But my job is to get you to understand that you've got the answers that fit for you in your current state versus me trying to conform you to my idea. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yes, but what I say that some, especially elementary teachers with children, some elementary teachers do become coaches
Mm-hmm.
and help that that child to grow and develop, in
Mm-hmm.
addition to giving them the information.
Mm-hmm.
So I have teachers in the family, and that's, I can say that.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
You got it.
Go ahead and unmute, please.
Sorry. I was fascinated with what you were saying about you're not a therapist because you don't excavate, but you went on to say that you ask a lot of questions. So how do you walk that line and not try to excavate somebody's past and focus on the future when you're asking a lot of questions?
Okay. Very good question on that one. Some clients do bring up the past. And when I say don't excavate into the past, I'm not trying to say, I'm not going to the past at all. I'm not going to talk to you about yesterday or last week. I just don't want to go too far into tell me about your childhood. Tell me about how your parents treated you, about how your teacher treated you. That goes way too far. And a lot of coaches are not, most coaches are not trained to bring that up in such a way where it doesn't trigger negative emotions that a client might lose control being put underneath. So what I do is whenever a client does go that far into the past, I always bring it back to the present or to as close to the present as I can. Because if we stay there, you might find some people who get panic attacks. They might cry. They might, at the end of the session, go off and self-soothe or harm themselves because they brought that up. So it's understanding that while we don't excavate into the past, you'll have to know how to ask questions to bring it back to the present and skillfully navigate it in such a way where it's not, I'm not trying to invalidate your past at all. I'm not trying to ignore your past, but I do know that the right here, right now is very important. So at the end of this call, what are we going to do to make sure that you're moving in a positive direction? So I just bring it back to the present whenever possible.
Focuses on the present and the future.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mac, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was wondering if you found that there's different ways of doing your life coaching virtually versus in person, and is there a preferred way? Is there how do those work?
Okay. My coaching sessions have been done remotely because of COVID-19. Now, I love doing remote because I'm able to coach anyone, anytime, any place. Like I have a client in New York, a client in New Jersey, a client in Texas, here in Texas, and a client in Canada. So I'm able to work with their time frames and get them in a place where, first of all, they're comfortable. A lot of people are comfortable, more comfortable in their own house than they are in someone else's office or space. So when I get them, I get the real them. As long as when they're speaking to me, I get not their representative, but I get them. I'm okay with them being in their house or in front of me. Some people enjoy face-to-face coaching. I prefer whichever is the most comfortable for you. And I'll tell you from my earlier days of coaching, the most uncomfortable place to do a coaching session is a coffee shop. But I didn't know better because I was younger and I didn't know any better. So like, we're going to do remote from now on. So did that answer your question?
I think so. Do we have any other questions? I don't see any hands. Sam, thank you so much for being with us today. I really enjoyed your presentation. Rudy, passing it on back to you.
All right, and I'll add my thanks to the speaker also. Sam, thank you for joining us today. Very informative presentation.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Well, we're going to return to our agenda then, and our program next week will be arranged by Greg Dew, and I believe Greg had another commitment. So is someone going to present for Greg?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, Lenore.
So Greg had eye surgery this morning. He's probably not here because of that, because wasn't sure if he's going to still be groggy or not. So we're going to have Lion Beth Slade, Director of Philanthropy for the Lions Engagement at Leader Dogs for the Blind. She was scheduled to join us at February 18th, which was canceled because of the weather at that time. And Beth will join us then next week to share information and updates about Lions and Leader Dogs for the Blind. The message with the Zoom meeting will include some links that she encourages you to explore before the meeting. So that's what Greg told me to say.
All right, thank you. Thank you for sharing that about next week's program. Before we adjourn, I do want to, I remembered there was one other announcement I neglected to mention, and that is that yesterday, Wednesday, our Lions Club was at one of the schools providing lunch to the teachers and the staff at Boone Elementary School. And I say we were there providing lunch. We had the lunch catered through Thundercloud Subs, and they helped us considerably to make that a successful well, just to present and to say thank you as a word of appreciation to the teachers that at Boone. And we had the extra pleasure of having Mary Lou Clayton, Dr. Mary Lou Clayton with us. Mary Lou is the daughter of George and Johnny Boone, for which the school is named. So it was a double treat and pleasure. Tomorrow, Friday, we will have our second lunch, and that will be at Cowan Elementary School. And again, to honor, to recognize, and to say thank you to the teachers and staff. All right. And again, the Texas Lions Camp Workday is coming up April the 10th. Those of you that are interested in staying in Kerrville, the information is on the chat. And also, the Texas Lions Camp provides free bunks. It's not all that luxurious, but it's, we'll see how it goes now that we're still living in the COVID age, and we'll see how all that is arranged. So thank you again to our speaker for joining us today in that presentation. Thank you for those that participated in the program, to Kit and to Susie for joining us. And so y'all enjoy the rest of the day, and we will meet again this time next week on Thursday. And so with that, this meeting is adjourned. Y'all enjoy.